Hey, there we go. All right. Just having some technical difficulties trying to get connected. Hi everyone. Daniel McCrane. I'm a business and marketing strategist. So I work with businesses just like yours to implement strategies that generate thousands of dollars of revenue and profit without spending money on marketing or advertising. And I've been hearing from a lot of people, from a lot of different sources, rather, that there are a lot of people applying for business licenses, starting up businesses, applying for tax ID numbers for businesses in greater numbers than we've seen in the past, and all due to COVID coronavirus shutdown. Some people finding themselves without a job and trying to figure out how to earn some income. Other people maybe with a business that is not able to function, and so they're looking at doing something else. So I've been hearing from a lot of people that there are a lot of startups that are underway. And of course, this is always tricky when you're trying to start a business. You never know how successful it's going to be. You're always hopeful, of course. So what I wanted to do was spend some time, maybe today, maybe on a regular basis, and just talk about what it takes to get a business started, and then also use this time to answer any questions that anyone might have about starting a business. So if you're following along with this live video, feel free to post something in comments. I am streaming using StreamYard right now, so I'll be able to see comments that you are posting either in Facebook or on YouTube, and I'll be able to follow along with your questions. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about, since I've got the camera here, since I've got the bandwidth at the moment, I wanted to spend some time talking about what does it take to think like an entrepreneur. And so if you're starting a business, or if you're thinking about starting a business, maybe you've already started a little bit, what's the mindset that you need to be in to increase your success rate? So I want to talk about that a little bit today. And I do only have until 11:30. So if you're following along with this, if you stumble across this live feed and you want to participate in this, if you want to ask questions, I can be here until 11:30 today. So I'll stay on until then. So we know that the survival rate of startup businesses is not very good. We know that, if you look at different statistics online, it can be as much as 9 out of 10 businesses end up closing. And the statistics range in all kinds of different areas. It could be 9 out of 10 in the first year. It could be 9 out of 10 in the first 5 years. I've seen 9 out of 10 in the first 10 years. Businesses that don't last longer than about 10 years. And of course, we can look at those numbers and we can ask, well, why was that? Why was that the case? But regardless of what statistics you look at, which ones are more hopeful than others, what it really comes down to is the survival rate of startup businesses is pretty bad. And I know there are a lot of people out there who start a business for a very good purpose. Your family's counting on you. Maybe your employees are counting on you, and you want to make sure that your business can stick around and succeed for the long term. You don't want to break your promises to any of those people. And I want to make sure that you get a chance to help out. So just, why am I doing this? Why am I spending this time talking about getting businesses started? Well, it's because I really have a soft spot for small businesses. Small business owners and small businesses create 75% of the jobs in our country, and they account for more than 50% of our economy, our gross domestic product. So it's really important that small businesses get a chance to thrive and to succeed. Otherwise, our economy is really going to be hurting, and people are going to be hurting, looking for jobs. So that's why I'm doing this. And what I do as a business strategist, as a marketing strategist, really works best for businesses who are already underway, who are already going, maybe are about 5 years or older. And so that's where I work best with businesses. But I want to talk about startups because I want to help you succeed. I want to see you grow and thrive. So if we kind of work our way backwards a little bit, maybe some of the things that I do with businesses that are already working, maybe we can work our way backwards and say, here's what you need to work on then as a startup company, as a startup business. So we'll start with that. But I want to talk a little bit about the entrepreneur mindset. I mentioned this a little bit ago. So just to kind of share some of this with you. Now, I do want to preface these comments by saying, if you are not an entrepreneur, if you do not meet this entrepreneur mindset, don't let that stop you from starting your business. This entrepreneur mindset really is the kind of a person who is going to go out and start business after business after business after business, and they're just going to have fun doing that. And they might build one successful business and then they quit and they let other people run that successful business, and they go start another one and they get it running. They let other people run that business and they go start another one. That's the kind of entrepreneur mindset that I'm talking about right now. That will be helpful to you as you start your business. But if this is not you, if this doesn't describe you, it doesn't mean you can't start a business, and it doesn't mean that you won't be successful. It just means that you may have to work a little bit harder to adopt some of this mindset. You may have other skills, actually, in my personal opinion, you may have other skills that are going to serve you better than this entrepreneur mindset might. So let me talk through some of these things and you'll kind of see what I mean. So this is how an entrepreneur really thinks, what it comes down to. So personality profiling is really going to help out a little bit. It'll help you understand yourself. It'll help you understand your tendencies, where you might have some obstacles or some hangups that are going to get in the way and stop you from being successful in your business. Doing some personality profiling is also going to help you understand where your strengths are and help you move forward in your business as well. Personally, I kind of like the DISC personality profile, and you can Google that, DISC personality profile, and you can find all kinds of free tests online that will be good enough. That'll be just fine to help you understand yourself a little bit better and understand where your obstacles are going to be. It'll help you understand where your weaknesses are. So as you look for partners or team members to come alongside you, you can look for people who are stronger in those areas. So a true entrepreneur comes down to two primary sources that help their entrepreneurial mindset. And that is unshakable self-confidence and an ability to think, an ability and a desire to think on your feet. And as I go through this, I just want to mention to anyone who comes across this live stream right now, feel free to add some comments down below, add your questions, and I'm happy to answer your questions as we go through this. So there are some other significant elements to being an entrepreneur, and that is being a fierce competitor. So if you're a very competitive kind of a person, that will help. Needing to be in control of things can help if you're an entrepreneur. And just having an overwhelming desire to do what other people will not do or cannot do, and it comes down to just because you can, for no other reason than that, just because you can and you want to. Now, entrepreneurs have a very unique way of looking at things, and it's this idea of no doubt. An absence of doubt is a very fundamental way of thinking as you're trying to plan your business and trying to get it off the ground. An entrepreneur never thinks to themselves, this can't be done. Instead, the way they think about it is, of course this can be done. And the only question in an entrepreneur's mind is, do I want to do it? Now, another thing I want to point out about an entrepreneurial mindset is there's never any thought of how they're going to do it either. So if anyone has done it before, then to an entrepreneur, that's good enough. That means this is basically done already before I've even gotten started, because I know someone else did it, and I can either copy what they did, or they've already proved that it can be done, so I can do it too. So if it's something that's never been done before, rather than think of reasons why or how or when, an entrepreneur is more focused on winning, the fame, the glory, and the profit of being the first person to get it done. So if that's not you, then if you're the kind of person who does get concerned about, well, I need to make plans and how do I know it's going to be successful and all that kind of stuff, don't think to yourself, oh, I should just stop. I'm not going to make it as an entrepreneur. That's not necessarily true. What I hope to get across to you in this video today is there's some ways that an entrepreneur thinks, and you can work at adopting that mindset and adapting yourself. So you can change your thinking. You can change the way that you think. So focus on winning. What does winning look like to you in business? And not necessarily from the standpoint of beating out all your competitors, although, if you want to go that direction, that's fine. But if you're the kind of person who just says, getting enough sales to cover my monthly expenses, to me, that's winning. Okay, well, now you're starting to get into the entrepreneurial mindset. Or fame. Just getting started, and maybe it's just your friends and family who say, wow, I never thought you'd be able to do it, but that's so cool that you got that done. And the same with glory too, fame and glory. Are you content with just a small circle who is happy with what you've done and excited for you? Or do you want to go even further? Do you want everybody in town or your state, or do you want to be known nationwide or go global? So whatever level works for you, that's fine as you start to adopt that entrepreneurial mindset, if you're not there already. Now, how you're going to get all this done really is insignificant at the point of getting started. It's really more important that you spend the time figuring out why you should get started. And as one of my, I'll call him a mentor, Robert Kiyosaki, although I've only read his books, but I read his books and I try to adopt his mindset toward business. And so I consider him a mentor a little bit in that respect, although at a distance. And one of the things that he says is, when you know why, then you'll figure out the how. So if you don't have a good how you're going to get your business off the ground and get started, don't worry about that so much. Not every business that gets started needs to have a whole 60 or 100 page business plan all written out. If you start with that huge, massive 150 page business plan, you will never get your business started. Sometimes you just need to start and figure it out as you're going. And actually, I've got a few more points I'm going to share about that too. So let's see. Once again, if you're coming onto this video, feel free to post your questions down below. I'd be happy to answer any questions for you. So an entrepreneur's unshakable self-confidence is what carries them through challenges, problems, disasters, and victories as well. And it carries them through the entrepreneurial journey too, which is kind of an adventure. The typical entrepreneur thrives on adventure, and they just know that they are going to be able to get through. You can't talk them out of it. You cannot change their minds. If you've ever talked to anyone like this, they just know beyond the shadow of a doubt that they are going to be successful. Now, also, a lot of entrepreneurs don't even bother considering the risk that's involved in starting their business. In some ways, risk is for those other people who don't have the superpowers of an entrepreneur. Now, there's a little bit of a scale there too. All right. So some entrepreneurs start their business and they know very well what their industry is. They know their industry so closely and so intimately. They know where the risk is and they know exactly how to avoid it. And so sometimes it appears that they are just charging forward without any thought to the risk, where instead they have actually studied it very, very closely and they know how to avoid the pitfalls as they're starting their business. Now, a risk management is a very important part to starting a business. And so as you get your business started, it's definitely something that you should take into account. Don't stop getting your business started because there's risk. Instead, study what the risk is and then learn how to manage that risk. That's the important part. All right. Also, other parts of the entrepreneurial mindset. A lot of times an entrepreneur does not get started just to go out and attempt to make money. They know they are going to make money and they have a plan for making money. They are going to make money. They just don't know if it's going to be enough money or how quickly they're going to make money. But they don't let that be a deal breaker to them. They just go out and they get started. They don't even think about how much money they're going to make or how quickly, because a lot of times entrepreneurs get bored. And so they'll try this business, and if it doesn't work out, they'll toss that one aside and they'll go start another one. For them, it's really more about the game of starting and running a business. So there's something there that you can adopt as well to your way of thinking. Can you distance yourself enough, divorce yourself enough from this idea of starting a business that if it doesn't work out, it's not going to be devastating to you. It's just going to be, for you, you can just say, okay, well, that was another learning experience. It's like if you learn to play any kind of a game, learn to play any kind of sport, right? If you try to swing a bat at a baseball or something, as you're learning how to do it, you're going to be bad at the beginning. But you keep trying and you keep trying and you keep trying. You go back to batting practice. You keep trying again. You keep swinging. And eventually you figure out how to get the bat to connect with the ball, or think about anything else. If you're playing Monopoly or something, you try different strategies and you play differently next time you play Monopoly. And then you try a different strategy next time you play Monopoly. It's the same with business too, with entrepreneurs. They try something, and if it doesn't work, okay, fine. Let's keep playing this game of business building, though. Let's just try a different strategy, try a different approach. So also, an entrepreneur is okay with walking away from amazing opportunities just because they've had enough. For them, it's not really about the money. It's about playing the game. If you talk to any entrepreneurs out there, ask if they have walked away from massive opportunities and massive paydays just because they're done with that project or that opportunity or that business. And for some of them, actually for a lot of them, you may come to realize they may walk away from an opportunity or a massive payout because they don't have any interest in that type of business or that industry. They don't have the strengths. They just don't want to get involved in that kind of an industry or business because they know they won't be successful there. And many of those entrepreneurs, if you talk to them, they've probably got a whole list of opportunities that they've walked away from. Now, entrepreneurs tend to be action-oriented people. They don't like to get caught up in small details. They are the best at starting anything, but they may be the worst at staying with it. And it's not just because they can't stay with it. It's just that new projects are a lot more exciting. Now, if you're not that kind of a person, that's okay. In fact, being able to focus on details can be a strength to you as a startup business owner. You want to make sure that you are providing the best customer service to people so that you get that repeat business from them. However, at the same time, you have to get yourself to maybe the other side of the spectrum to get yourself to a point where you can say, okay, you know what? It's good enough. It's close enough to being perfect. It's not perfect yet, but we have to get this going. Otherwise, we'll never launch this business. So you have to be okay with the idea of good enough, and we'll fix it as we go. So there are some other unconventional ways that entrepreneurs think. They will change the way that things are being done just because they can. They are adventurers, pioneers, creative thinkers. And a lot of times they are so creative, they'll invent a new process every time for the same process that they've already been doing. So rather than sticking with what works, entrepreneurs tend to create a completely new process. So if you're a process-oriented person, that can actually serve you really well. What you'll need to do, though, is foster some creativity to look at your process and say, is it good enough? Can it become a better process? So that's where that concept of creativity needs to come in. That's the part of the entrepreneur mindset that you'll need to work on adapting and adopting. Entrepreneurs have a present moment mindset. They go into business with no fear and they spend zero time thinking about what happened yesterday. They are all focused on today. What can we do in the business today? And this is where everything happens. They'll come in, they're excited to get started early. They'll finish late so that they can try to get ahead of any kind of a schedule. And so this work ethic is going to be very important to you as a business owner, as you're starting your business. Entrepreneurs, like I said, they think of work as an adventure. They don't actually have a concept of what real work is, because to them, building a business is a game and it's fun. They like doing it. And the moment that it begins to feel like work to them, they are gone. They are done with this business. They will run away from the business as soon as it's no longer fun. So that's why you really don't find entrepreneurs in employee situations. They don't like conforming to anyone else's rules. They don't like being told what to do. They really are independent thinkers. In some ways, being an entrepreneur is almost like having an obsessive compulsive mindset. So a lot of them have been described by family members as workaholics. Entrepreneurs themselves don't see it that way, of course. They just see it as, hey, I'm having fun. I'm getting stuff done. Entrepreneurs are really not great planners, and it's not because they can't plan. It's just because planning more than a couple steps in advance to them really is pointless as far as they're concerned. Now, this is where I was kind of talking about how much work do you put into creating your business plan. And so rather than have any kind of a detailed plan or a blueprint, entrepreneurs really kind of look at business, but they also kind of look at life as if, say you were driving down down a highway at night and you've got your high beams on. And so you can see the next like 200 yards or 500 yards, whatever it is, down the road. Now, you can see what's happening within that amount of space. And so if something comes into your headlights, into your sight, you have enough time to react, and you can take care of the situation. Do you really need to see miles and miles down the road? No, you don't. As a driver, the distance of your headlights is fine. And the same with the business owner too. Do you need to know exactly what's going to happen in the next 10 years? No, you really don't. Is it helpful to know what's going to happen within maybe the upcoming week? Is it helpful to know what's happening in your area, in your community, or in your industry, so you can kind of forecast a little bit what's going to happen within the next month? Yeah, that's important to know. But an entrepreneur trusts in themselves that they can react and respond to the market changes within enough time to keep their business going. It's that ability to think on their feet, to be able to change direction and let their intuition take them wherever they want to go. All right, so didn't get any questions this time about starting a business, but I will continue to hold these sessions probably like every other week. So if you've got questions about getting a business started, I'm happy to spend time with you and just talk a little bit about what questions you have, see if I can steer you toward resources, or if maybe I can help you strategize and come up with some ideas. So watch for this in a couple more weeks, but we're coming up on the end of the time that I have available today. So I'm going to stop here for today. And like I said, watch for the next video, and I'll do what I can to help you out. Have a great day, everyone, and to your success.